Hey, I'm Andrea Runnels, also known as the Social Studies Whisperer. And yes, I am passionate about American history, and I'm a huge history nerd. I also was a teacher for 16 years. I left the public school classroom because I want to help support English language learners from the outside. And by helping teachers, I can help support those kids. I also left the classroom to be a champion for kids with ADHD. So a lot of the activities that I include in my social studies topics are things that are modified to meet the needs of my two special populations, because I feel that English language learners are one of the most, I just don't even have the words. They have so much potential. There's so much possibility if a teacher just takes the time to believe in a child and just show them that they have so much to offer, and that being an English language learner is not special education. If you are an English language learner, that means you probably know more than one language, and that means you are smarter than the rest of the kids. And so I will include a pep talk just for kids at the end of this, because some of the best work I did in the classroom was building up my kiddos who were not the typical norm, like my gifted learners, my English language learners, and my kids with ADHD. The whole entire reason why I took the gifted endorsement was to better meet the needs of my kids who were English language learners, because I felt that they were not being identified the way that they should. And so this course is going to give you the opportunity to modify your curriculum in a way that is easy and that will be best practices for all kids. And so I'm using the lens of social studies to help you, because what it is like a scrapbook of sorts, in like a digital guide to setting up your English language learners for success the way that I did in the classroom my last year. And so included are a lot of social studies ideas, because I was departmentalized and taught science and social studies. And as a social studies whisperer, super passionate about social studies. Okay, I believe in connecting the past to the present, and I believe in making content relevant. And to do that, you also need to include people of diversity. And so that's super, super, super important. Okay, so I hope that this gives you a lot of practical tips and a lot of inspiration so that you can set yourself up for success, for modifying your content for English language learners, and then therefore the kiddos are set up for success. Because if you take that time to build that relationship with those kiddos, then you will be amazed at the progress they will make. I had kids coming in not speaking English, and at the end of the year, I was mind blown. They were reading on like second or third grade reading level. I mean, mind blowing. It just takes one teacher to make a difference. And the fact that you're watching this right now means that you care. Okay? Thank you so much. A little background first. I want you to think about your comfort level with where you are with modifying curriculum. Maybe you have no experience at all, and that's okay. Maybe you do have some training, but you've just been too busy. That's probably more likely the case. So what this is going to do, like I said, there's a reason it's called a quick start guide, because it's going to help you with some easy strategies. I'm not asking you to fill out paperwork upon paperwork upon paperwork and do these really complicated things. Okay, first of all, I will be using the words English language learners and ESOL interchangeably, or ELLs, because those are the terms that are familiar to me. I realize in other states, your students who are English language learners are referred to by other program types. But I'm from Georgia, and those are the terms that I'm familiar with. Also, I will say newcomers, and by newcomers, I mean students who might be a level 1. Okay, let's think about levels first of all. In the book, I refer to WIDA levels, WIDA. And I have a link to WIDA.us to help you get a little background upon the different WIDA levels, because the way the levels go from like beginning student to like exiting the ESOL program. And so it's kind of important to be familiar with that before you get further upon your study. And it's in each subject level varies as well. So that website has a tremendous blog, and so that's a great place to start. And I've also included tons of helpful links at the end of this. Okay. And so thank you so much for watching, and think about where you are now, what level you're at, and then hopefully by the end you'll be ready to level up. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to put it all together in a practice round with a modified lesson. And I just picked one that I wrote about in a blog post because there is no way for me to know exactly what you are teaching and to modify a lesson for exactly what you are teaching and someone else that's watching this. So I just thought it would be easy just to take that idea. So in the blog post, it's about how to teach D-Day any day, and it's also an integrated literacy lesson. It's more that than about D-Day. What it was kids had to take 3 different reading passages and compare and contrast the point of view in them. And of course, that is an extremely high level reading skill for an English language learner, and it was pretty challenging for my native speakers as well. And so there are many, many ways that you can modify that activity to make it fit the needs of all of your students. And I have provided a list of several ideas that I just thought of off the top of my head. And so make sure you go back and read that full blog post and then kind of see the suggestions. And then you can use those to kind of spark your own ideas for modifying your curriculum. All right, included at the end, I have some extra resources, like links to some social media posts that I've done, or other videos that might be helpful, and definitely some blog posts that have social studies sites if you need help with that. And I also have a long list, over 2 pages of helpful links for translation, for building literacy, for like cultural diversity, all kinds of things on like links to my Pinterest boards. And so that should be super helpful. And now that we're to the end, I hope that you can go back and look at that rating scale from 1 to 5, and that you've leveled up, and that this has given you some ideas so that you feel like you are far more ready to set up your English language learners for success. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have, and I look forward to hearing about how this impacted your class and made your life easier for the next school year, or if you're watching this in the middle of the school year, for the rest of the school year, because it's never too late to start making your classroom a better place. For me, I was constantly reflecting and constantly changing things if they weren't working. So I hope that you enjoy the bonuses, and I hope that this was helpful, and I look forward to connecting with you soon for other projects. Okay, this is broken down into different sections based on like my top 10 hacks. Teacher hacks are a great thing, like my little tips and tricks that I use to modify curriculum that the kids didn't even know. And I share some that relate to social studies as well. So you might accidentally end up liking social studies when this is over. So some of the topics I'm going to cover are setting up your classroom space and organize your classroom library, primarily like for social studies or just to have more engagement from your English language learners. Also, I'm going to cover with setting up your classroom more like how I use a timeline on the wall as a preview, because it's important to preview things. I'm also going to cover posting language objectives in addition to whatever required curriculum standards that you are supposed to have. I'm also going to cover like some ways that I used whole brain teaching and did like hands-on vocabulary, and ways that I did used Teach and had the kids had student directed learning, and also gave the students opportunities to build speaking and listening skills, because all teachers are ESOL teachers. If your students are pulled out for services, then that's generally not too much of the day. And so it's very important to include those kids all through the day. That way you can increase their language acquisition even more, okay? Some other things that are going to be covered are going to be like anytime activities that English language learners can do, and like how to make a newcomer kit. Because I don't know how many times I was sitting there, like maybe it was during my planning time, or walking out the door, or in the middle of a reader's theater presentation. Yes. Or right before standardized testing. True story, it happened. And I got, Mrs. Reynolds, please send someone to get your new student. Like out of nowhere. That's how it was done at my school. Like, you didn't know. You didn't get a heads up you're getting a new student. You were very lucky if you found out the day before. And so it's a good idea to have some stuff on hand in case you get a new student who does not speak English, because chances are the child might not even speak a language that you speak. I was lucky to know Spanish, but there were times when I got some students that spoke languages that I don't know. And so it's important to have a way to communicate and some ways to have the basic needs met and kids to ask for help if they need it from a newcomer kit. Okay. I'm also going to cover integrating the arts because I think that's really, really important. And I'm also going to cover my picture dictionaries that I created to be a more supportive type of study guide for English language learners. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful and I hope that you learn a lot. And let's get started with setting up our classroom space with English language learners in mind.